Welcome to the Now, I'm Ashely Jenkins. It's been rumored for a few months that Nintendo could be considering some type of VR development, but the company's now kind of confirmed it. According to Nintendo's recent no press shareholders meeting in Japan, they are indeed looking into VR. Miyamoto reportedly said during the meeting that they're actively researching the technology, but the big barrier for the company is playtime. They want to make sure that any Nintendo device is comfortable to use long term, and that parents wouldn't be concerned with kids using it for lengthy stretches of time. It's a valid concern. Love the VR headsets and everything, but they're hard to wear for a long time right now. He then asked people at the meeting not to post any of that online. Whoops. These statements come after some other recent comments by Miyamoto to the Associated Press. Miyamoto reportedly said to the AP that the NX didn't make an appearance at E3 because the company has a specific idea that they're working on and they don't want anybody else to copy it. Whether that idea is VR, which seems unlikely because, hey, we've been there, done that now, or something that's gonna really blow our socks off. Also, hit or miss, it could go the way of the Wii or it could go the way of the Wii U, remains to be seen. The saga of Activision versus Orion versus the entire internet has finally been resolved, it seems. Earlier this week, indie dev Trek Industries made some waves when they announced that Activision had DMCA'd their game off Steam over allegedly stolen assets from Call of Duty. After rallying fans to support them, or so they hoped, everything kind of turned into a shit show because rather than supporting them, the internet, or, well, Reddit, basically, which, as expected, proved that Trek had stolen assets from a number of games over the years and probably stole the Call of Duty guns as well. The dust has sort of settled, and now Trek has made a follow-up post to the entire ordeal stating that their game has been reinstated and that yeah, they totally ripped off the assets Activision was accusing them of, but it's really not their fault, guys, which, it's kind of been their excuse for all of the other ripped assets as well. There is something called quitting while you're ahead, Trek Industries. Maybe do that now that your game is back up on Steam and just go original. Everyone likes your game, just do original stuff with it. We all know that Overwatch is absolutely crushing it in terms of its sales and player base, but you might be surprised by just how much the game is growing globally. In the same week as launching the game's competitive mode and getting DDoS'd again, it turns out that Overwatch has also surpassed League of Legends as the most played game in South Korean internet cafes. That may not mean a whole lot to you if you're not an internet cafe user, but when you consider that League of Legends has held that title for over 204 weeks, it kind of says a lot. This data comes by way of Game Metrics, which tracks the gameplay of 4,000 internet cafes through Korea. That's apparently a totally valid business, by the way, you can do that, where Overwatch is now chosen by at least 30% of customers. We'll have to see whether or not Overwatch continues to crush League of Legends in South Korea, but hey, let's just have Blizzard have their moment for now. That's pretty awesome, that's a big accomplishment. Video game conspiracy theorists went wild yesterday when an official Bioshock Twitter account launched. The timing kinda seemed odd considering the series has been alive and kicking since 2007, leading some to believe that Bioshock-related announcements were on the way. But before any announcements could actually be made, art for the Bioshock collection appeared very briefly on the 2K Games website before being pulled down just as quickly. And as of this morning, 2K confirmed the collection is indeed real with a brand new trailer and that it's a next-gen remaster of Bioshock, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite. So the trend of playing your old games but prettier continues. The collection will also include all the DLC for the 3 games. It will not, however, include the multiplayer aspect of Bioshock 2. And on PC, Infinite will not be getting a remastered treatment as 2K Games feel it's already up to snuff on that platform. Look, as long as we get Elizabeth, and as long as we get big daddies and little sisters, I think we'll all be happy, right? As if it's not ridiculous enough that a Tetris movie exists in the first place, Hollywood had to go and make it worse by confirming that it's also going to be an entire trilogy of films, of which the first would have an $80 million budget. Now we're getting more details from the film's producers about why a trilogy exists. And don't worry guys, it has nothing to do with making money. A wink. According to producer Larry Kasanoff, the story we conceived is so big. This isn't us splitting the last one of our 8 movies into 2 to wring blood out of the stone. It's just a big story. It's a really big story about blocks, apparently. As for how the movie will tie into the game, Kazanov also says that there won't be anthropomorphized blocks with legs running around, which is a real shame, although he'd be happy if people continue to speculate about that. He later said, "It's great that people think so. It sets the bar rather low." Hooray? And speaking of the internet completely overreacting to things, which admittedly we do a lot, it looks like all those angry comic book fans just might have been jumping the gun a little bit about Captain America's apparent change of alliance to Hydra in the comics. Following the uproar started in the newly launched Steve Rogers Captain America #1, which ended in the reveal that Cap has always been a Hydra agent, issue #2 already cleared things up. Spoiler alert, it's basically what everybody, including us, thought it was going to be. As it turns out, Cap's memories of being a Hydra double agent were implanted there by the reality-warping cosmic cube / 4-year-old girl Kobik, who is being manipulated by Red Skull. You know, it's general comic book stuff. So, the next time Marvel stirs the pot and introduces some crazy twist that ruins your favorite character and it's gonna be the worst thing ever, just remember this moment. They've gotta sell some issues, they gotta do some exciting stuff. They've already done so much, they really gotta get creative at this point. And chances are it is not gonna last anyway. So, relax. Since you were a kid, you've always wondered what would happen if you jumped down a hole that went through the center of the Earth and came out the other side. Well, apparently scientists are also asking that question. They never grew up, and now they've come up with an answer. In a new report published earlier this month, yes, scientists spent actual time figuring this shit out. Researchers posited what would happen if a human actually attempted jumping down a hole through the center of the Earth. Since pressure would make the trip totally unsurvivable, they just assumed that any person doing this would need some kind of vehicle, or just be a comic book character. When you factor in air resistance and friction, the scientists involved in the study deduced that it would take nearly 2 years just to reach the center of the Earth. After that, the energy lost thanks to friction and drag would keep you from shooting up the other side, so instead you just fall back to the center and roll around until you die by getting melted or crushed. So, and thanks for ruining another dream science. Like, that wasn't really in the spirit of going through the center of the Earth at all. I mean, if you can do that, you're not gonna be worrying about stupid things like friction and physics. You're gonna be worrying about, do I come up in Australia or China? The answer, by the way, if you're in the US, I think is actually Australia. I remember seeing that on TV sometime in the 80s. Anyway, breaking news. People like to do dumb stuff with drones. And also don't date themselves by saying that they were kids in the 80s. Officials in a number of southwestern states are now having to warn civilians not to fly drones near wildfires. Again, didn't they already warn people about this stuff? According to new reports that sound a lot like old reports, firefighters haven't been able to properly fight fires thanks to really dumb people who keep their drones in the airspace near wildfires. Specifically, the drones are keeping helicopters and other aircraft from dropping water on the wildfires from above, as well as helping firefighters coordinate their efforts. Because the drones are posing a danger to any low-flying planes or helicopters, it's been hampering their fight against a number of raging wildfires through the Southwest. Already 9 times this year, drones have interfered with firefighters in the line of duty. State officials are now reminding everyone that this can lead to jail time and steep fines, and also it's kind of a dick move. So, the next time you feel like getting some sweet wildfire footage for your YouTube channel, maybe don't do that. Just some people want their houses to not burn down, and that's kind of important. I mean, we love YouTube. YouTube is great. YouTube's kind of our life, but homes are also important. That's where you really live your life. So, don't burn them down by being a jerk. And that about does it for our roundup. Let us know what you think of all these stories in the comments down below. And as always, for future updates from every corner of the internet, like this video and subscribe to the Now. A pretty clean read, right?
That was
pretty clean.
That was
pretty
nice.
clean. Yeah, from morning, and I bet I did have my coffee already. So, floating. Drones. No, absolutely not. You know how we were just talking about how you can't make Aria into a meme just by forcing it?
Yes.
You can't make that song happen.